This has been a developing situation all throughout the morning here. There have been multiple law enforcement agencies on scene. It was a pretty short hearing that lasted around 10 minutes. It was mostly a lot of discussion centered around procedural things, but something notable that did happen is the judge entered a not guilty plea for Trooper Roper. Day one of the trial was largely focused on jury selection, but the judge did make one key ruling in particular. Adam Fravel will not be required to wear physical restraints unless they are needed. Day two of the pretrial hearings featured testimony from some of Madeleine Kingsbury's closest friends. The state called them to paint a picture of Madeleine and Adam Fravel's relationship. The Madeleine Kingsbury case has captured the attention of the state, and now the country is going to learn more about it when it is featured Saturday night on 48 Hours. 48 Hours correspondent Peter Van Sant joins me now. Peter, thank you for taking the time to speak with us here. Well, Annalise, it's a party down here in downtown Rochester. I'm on 1st Avenue Southwest right now. You can see there's a lot of people here, despite the rain, making their way out. But I want to give you a better look now. I'm going to step behind the camera just to show you all what that is going on here, so you can see all these vendors. In fact, there are over 100 vendors here, along with live music, food, and art. And that is going to be the case all throughout the summer. And the event is also going on Peace Plaza, just down the road as well. More vendors, more fun down there as well. I'm going to bring in Sean Fagan now. He is with the Rochester Downtown Alliance. Now, Sean, thank you so much for taking a couple minutes here to speak with us. You really couldn't have asked for a better morning, right?
No.
Not too hot, not too cold. Sun's out, a beautiful day here. We're happy to have you along with us right here on KIMT. So dust off your acid wash jeans and dig out those leg warmers to commemorate the 85th North Iowa Band Festival. We do want to begin this morning with breaking news out of Rochester, where police are investigating a tragic discovery. Rochester police tell me that they found 2 bodies inside building 124 of the River Glen Apartments. I was on scene there this morning gathering this video you see on your screen. Breaking news, a Minnesota State Trooper is now facing charges in a Rochester crash that claimed the life of an Owatonna teenager. We're following a developing story out of Mason City this morning, where fire crews are currently battling a large fire on the north end of town. If you're just joining us, CBS News has now declared former President Donald Trump has won the 2024 presidential election. So at 8:30, Trooper Shane Roper is expected in Olmsted County District Court. I'll be in the courtroom monitoring all the developments. KIMT will bring you the latest updates online on KIMT.com and in our afternoon newscasts. Our next story this morning involves a tragic and unusual discovery following a single vehicle crash in Olmsted County. On this day in 1995, beloved KIMT morning news anchor Jody Husentrut went missing early in the morning while on her way to work at the KIMT Mason City studio. New on Daybreak, a man is dead after a late-night motor vehicle pursuit that spanned multiple cities last night. As your kids may be finalizing their Halloween costumes, one North Iowa homeowner is putting the finishing touches on her collection. For one Lake Mills woman, this time of year makes her house one of the most popular spots in town. Let's get right over to KIMT Storm Team 3 meteorologist Hunter Donahoe for that. And Hunter, rain is something we haven't talked about consistently for a long time here.
Hope your stomachs aren't feeling too sick from too much sugar last night.
If they are, you can perhaps walk it off this weekend because it's looking like a nice one, at least for, as you said, Travis, half of it, right? Yeah, we just heard and we saw what was a crazy image outside. Sean, you went and stepped outside.
If you want to head to a pool, a park, better do it sooner than later today.
It's going to be a great day for it, but Sean is tracking that chance for severe weather, so let's get right over to him. Sean, when can we expect to see that? Let's check in with KIMT Storm Team 3 meteorologist Sean McAday. He's been spending the morning in Lake City for the Governor's Fishing Opener. It is, and you just heard from Sean mentioning a lot of possible windows for storms, so that begs the question, is there going to be any time to get outside this weekend? It's been excellent, but now, and right now we're talking some rain moving into the viewing area. Let's check in with KIMT Storm Team 3 meteorologist Sean McAday. Sean, what are you tracking right now? Hunter, you know, it was a nice weekend for anybody who liked to get out and enjoy that summer-like weather. It's sticking around, and it's going to be sticking around for most of this week, right? So how much warmer, what's it going to feel like kind of later in the week compared to the weekend with that humidity? Is it going to kind of be the same? Annalise, I spoke with the Austin Police Department and the Olmsted County Sheriff's Office about navigating those obstacles as departments grapple with recent line-of-duty deaths.
I need that ambulance to 33rd Avenue, and I need 2 additional ambulances.
It's a scene that's become all too familiar. Two police officers, along with a firefighter-paramedic, gunned down in the line of duty. And while it happened in the Twin Cities suburb of Burnsville, law enforcement all across the state and the nation are feeling the impact.
Law enforcement is one of those unique professions. I feel that, we have a family bond. We may not know each other personally, but we feel personally, the sadness, the grievance that everyone's going through.
In this case, again, one of our officers knew personally one of the officers that was killed, so it absolutely has an impact.
These are 3 of the 9 line of duty deaths that have happened between Minnesota, Iowa, North Dakota, and Wisconsin in the last year. You may recall Chetek police officer Emily Breidenbach and Cameron police officer Hunter Scheel were shot and killed during a traffic stop in northwest Wisconsin last April. That same month, Pope County Sheriff's Deputy Joshua Owen died after being shot on his birthday while responding to a domestic assault in western Minnesota. 1 month later, St. Croix County Sheriff's Deputy Katie Lysing was shot and killed responding to a DUI call in western Wisconsin. Then in July, Fargo police officer Jake Wallen lost his life after being shot responding to a traffic stop in North Dakota. And in September, Algona police officer Kevin Cram was shot and killed attempting to arrest a suspect with an outstanding warrant. Most recently, Burnsville police officers Paul Elmstrand and Matthew Ruge were gunned down responding to a domestic call earlier this month. Burnsville firefighter, paramedic, and Rochester native Adam Finseth was also killed in the shooting while rendering aid in what is believed to be the first firefighter-paramedic death of its kind in Minnesota. I pulled data on line-of-duty deaths in Minnesota over the last decade. 8 of those 10 years had under 2 deaths. That means this year is already one of the deadlier years with 3 deaths.
It's tragic when you hear it anywhere in the nation, and when you hear it in your own state, it seems like especially tragic. And when you hear it under the circumstances that it kind of has been unfolding to us, it's that much more tragic.
Olmsted County Sheriff's Department Captain Tim Parkin says law enforcement always has to prepare for any possible outcome when responding to calls.
We're kind of trained in our profession that, you go to protect and to serve however that means. You could be going into the home of somebody that's having the biggest crisis of their life, and you're expected to deal with that traumatic event however it unfolds.
He and Austin Police Chief David McKeegan say while the goal is to keep everyone safe, sometimes it's just not possible.
Most of the time that they're doing an outstanding job of balancing all those things, but because there's elements you will not be able to control, you may have some outcomes that weren't planned for. You may have to use force.
In those moments, they are asking for the public to understand that they too are human.
There can be times that officers make mistakes, and we need to be held accountable just like anybody else. But at the same time, understand that we try and we do our best. And just please have the understanding that when there's tragic incidents like what just recently happened, that law enforcement's hurting too.
They are also quick to point out the positive things law enforcement officers do that are not always recognized.
I'll hear on the radio again them going to a very challenging call. My heart rate goes up because I know the things that could go wrong and what those mean, and they'll solve it. And life will move on, and no one will know it.
Sometimes what's on the news is when an officer does something wrong, but what's not always on there is all the times the officers do something right.
And with the struggle to hire and retain police officers right now, they hope those considering wearing the badge and those currently wearing it know they are valued.
This is still a very noble profession, and it's a profession that gives you purpose. You can go home at the end of the day knowing that you helped somebody out, and I think there's no greater feeling than that you were able to do good in the community that you live in.
The work that they do, those men and women that wear the uniform and go out and handle those calls for service, it's invaluable.
And in the midst of the difficult hours, dangerous tasks, and sometimes devastating outcomes, they say the smallest of gestures can have a large impact.
And it does seem like, unfortunately, when tragic events such as this happen, you see people show up all the time with random acts of kindness that shows their support. And something as little as saying thank you to an officer walking by goes a long ways.
To stand by the law enforcement officers who serve and protect us every day. That accident left her paralyzed. While she is now a quadriplegic, she's also finding new inspiration, one stroke at a time.
It's really nice to just sit here and look out and paint from there.
In Jessica Olson's house, you'll find paintings of flowers and nature scenes. But none of this was here a year ago.
So July 20th, which was my 30th birthday.
That's the day her life changed forever.
I was out with a bunch of my nurse friends, and we were just having a good time, and I went to dive off the dock and dove into about 4 foot of water. And instantly I knew I had broken my neck. I couldn't move, and essentially was drowning in the water.
What was going through your mind in that moment?
In the moment of me drowning, all I could think about were my boys and my husband.
Jessica's friend pulled her out of the water, likely saving her life, but there would be a long road of rehab ahead of her in Colorado.
We got back in about mid-November, I believe, and then it's been go, go, go ever since. Therapy twice a week. I've been doing that out at the hospital here, and that's been fantastic. And then just trying to keep busy.
Also picking up some other hobbies along the way.
Yes, I started to paint.
Now you can find her perched up in this room for hours on end, watercolor painting.
Oh, it's been like a lifeline. After I'm done painting something and it turns out good, it just brings me a bunch of happiness.
And it also keeps her mind off of what she can no longer do.
When I'm painting, I don't think about how I can't walk or do all these things anymore.
Now, not only is Jessica crafting her masterpieces, she is selling them.
My Aunt Colleen, she really kind of put it out there. She got the cards all printed and thought of the idea of selling the note cards.
The note cards have prints of Jessica's work. This is the new collection coming out this week.
So we put it out there and people just loved them, and it made me very happy.
Happiness is something that would have been hard to come by for Jessica in the days and weeks after her accident. Now she says while there are some tough days, she is choosing to look on the bright side and wants others in her position to do the same.
It gets better. Every day. You know, you have your bad days, but then you got to look at, the positives. And there's a lot of positive things that have happened, I feel. I've met amazing people throughout this experience.
And she has some advice that all of us can relate to.
Don't be afraid to try new things. It doesn't have to be perfect to be beautiful.